All right. Have you ever really truly stopped to think about your mind? I'm not talking about your brain, the physical organ. I mean that inner space, right? The place where all your thoughts, feelings, and your whole sense of you seems to live. Well, the source material we're digging into today puts forward a really wild idea. What if that mind, the one you think is you, is actually the greatest illusion of all? Let's see if we can figure this out.
You know, it's funny. We use this word all the time. We talk about being happy, our mind is open, or being heartbroken, our mind is broken. But what is this mind? Seriously, think about it. Where is it? It feels like the very center of who we are, but you can't touch it, you can't see it. It's totally intangible.
Okay, so let's be super clear here. We are not talking about the physical heart, that muscle pumping blood around in your chest. Nope. We're talking about the concept of the mind, the shin, the seat of consciousness. And when you ask the question, where is this thing located? The source we're exploring gives a pretty startling answer. Nowhere. And that, right there, leads us to the core idea. So, brace yourself for this one. What if your mind isn't a thing at all? What if it's just an echo, a process, a trick of the light that we've all been completely mesmerized by our entire lives? To really unpack this, we got to get a handle on two super important concepts from the source text. Sin, which is the mind, and sing, which we can think of as our true fundamental nature. You could say one is the reflection and the other is the source of that reflection. So here's the first big shift in thinking. The mind isn't some static object sitting inside your skull. It's a process. It's just a series of reactions. Thoughts that are triggered by what you see, what you hear, what you touch in the world around you. So no trigger, no thought. Simple as that. The source uses this absolutely beautiful metaphor to make it all make sense. So just imagine for a second that your true self, your deep inherent nature, your xing, is like a huge, perfectly still pool of water. It's deep, it's quiet, and it's totally undisturbed at its core. Now picture everything outside of you. Every person you talk to, every piece of music you hear, every single thing that happens to you, all of that stuff is like the moon hanging up there in the night sky. It's separate from the water. It's just out there. And this is where it all clicks. Your so-called mind, your thoughts and feelings, is nothing more than the reflection of that moon on the surface of the water. It's not the actual moon, and it's definitely not the water. It's just a temporary shimmering image. That's it. You see what this means, right? The mind has zero independent existence. It completely depends on what's happening outside of you. If there's no moon, no external stimulus, then there's no reflection. The mind doesn't even show up. It's not a constant, it's just a byproduct. Okay, so let's take this to the next level. If the mind is just a harmless reflection, what's the big deal? Why is it a problem? Well, the problem isn't the reflection itself. The problem is that we get completely lost in it. The text has this incredible concept, the Shin Gen, which you can translate as a mind maze. See, we don't just notice the reflection on the water. We dive headfirst into it, thinking it's the real thing. We end up trapped in this crazy labyrinth of our own reactions. And the worst part is, we don't even know we're in a maze. And what's it like inside this maze? Oh, it's total chaos. Just look at these phrases. One minute you're completely heartbroken, the next you're on top of the world. Your mind is a tangled mess, then it's totally calm. You're soaring, you're sinking. We are constantly being yanked back and forth by these fleeting reflections. And this lines up perfectly with a famous teaching from the Buddha, which the source points out. The mind is fundamentally ungraspable. I mean, think about it. The thought you just had, it's gone. The one you're having right now, it's already vanishing. And the next one isn't even here yet. Trying to hold on to the mind is like trying to catch smoke in your hands. And right here, this is the root of all our suffering. We are being played, as the source puts it, by this illusion. We make this tragic mistake of thinking that this chaotic, constantly changing, ungraspable reflection is who we really are. We identify with all that turbulence on the surface, and we completely forget about the deep, still water underneath. So, if we're trapped in a maze we built ourselves, is there a way out? According to this, yes. But the path out sounds like a paradox. It's the path of Wuxin, or no mind. That's the real question, isn't it? If believing we are our mind is the trap, how do we stop? How do you possibly break free from a prison when you don't even realize you're in it? So the process laid out here is actually pretty straightforward, even if it's not easy. First, you just stop dwelling on things. You see, you hear, but you don't let your mind set up shop and build a home there. Second, you let the thoughts come up. That's fine, but you don't give them a place to live. You don't entertain them. And then there's the final, most radical step. You throw the mind away. You just discard the whole illusion.
Now, it is so important to get what no mind actually means. This isn't about being unconscious or like a zombie. It's a state of incredible freedom. It's freedom from being a slave to your own automatic reactions. You still see the moon reflecting on the water, but you know it's just a reflection. It doesn't trick you anymore.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most crucial question of all. What does life even look like on the other side of the mind maze? What happens after you throw the mind away? And I'm sure you're thinking this because it's the most logical question there is. If our mind, all our thoughts, our plans, our feelings, if all that is gone, aren't we just empty shells? How could we possibly function in the world? How do you hold a job or talk to people? The source gives us this amazing, powerful two-word answer, 活行呀, which means live by your nature. You stop living by the chaotic, temporary reflection. Instead, you start living from the source itself. So what does it mean to live by your nature? It means you operate from that deep, calm, stable pool of water that is your true self. Your actions don't come from knee-jerk reactions anymore. They come from a place of profound stillness and clarity. And that, we're told, is where you finally find real, lasting peace. The implications here are just staggering. When you live from this authentic core, the source says your nature is enlightenment. You become what it calls a living Buddha or a living immortal, not as some religious icon, but as a fully awake, completely free human being. And so we're going to end by turning this question back to you. We spend basically our entire lives hypnotized by these flickering reflections on the surface, convinced that's who we are. But if all of that, every thought, every emotion, is just an illusion, then what is the deep, still water that is truly, unshakably you?